Today it is all about making an awesome family history book. Are you trying to get your family interested in family history? Maybe you want to show off your hard work and your discoveries that you've made. The problem is that so many of the family history books and genealogy books of the past were so boring. Nobody wanted to look at them. So today I'm going to show you 5 family history books that are really awesome. And hopefully they'll give you some ideas of platforms that you can use and ways that you can write family histories that will be things that your family will actually look at. All right, so before we get into the 5 examples, I want to talk to you a little bit about family history books. Do me a favor and please make them interesting. I know sometimes family history can be kind of boring, and especially if you haven't been bit by the bug, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. So the aspects that you want to make sure you include in your books that make them something that people are really interested in are, first, images. You need images. You need images because we are a different society now, and we have an attention span this long, and pictures can also tell 1,000 words. So you want images. You want images if you have photographs of the people. Even census images or their draft card or things like that can be really interesting. So I don't know, maybe I'm weird. Maybe to me, censuses can be really interesting, but maybe to other people, not so much. But sometimes the census records say things that are surprising to people, like an occupation or how much their home was worth. Those are the little things that sometimes tend to grab people's attention. So put those in there. The other thing that you want to do is keep it short and sweet. We tend to go on and on and on and on and on about all of the information that we've obtained. And the reality is that most of our family, they don't care. They just want something that they can learn about their family history person. And then if they get the bug and they learn more about somebody in their family tree, then great. Maybe they'll become genealogists too. But at least you're sharing your love of the person and some of the great information that you've discovered about them. And the last thing that I really want to tell you to do is try to tell stories. Now that's a lot harder when we go back in time and maybe we don't know the story. But if you have journals or if you have other information like that, that can be really interesting for people. Not that they necessarily want to read the whole journal, but you can summarize it. Or a letter. Or you may need to be doing some research and find out what happened during that time period. And then take the information that you've gathered and kind of knit it together with what was going on in the time period so that you can tell a story. Now remember, keep things brief. All right, so let me give you these examples. Number 1. This is the platform that I've used the most often when I've done projects for clients. It's mycanvas.com. And you can access it through Ancestry. It merges well with Ancestry, but it is not solely an Ancestry product. So these are some photographs of a couple of different pages that I've used in books that I've done on this platform. Pros and cons of this platform. Like I mentioned before, it works well with Ancestry. So it will import your family tree and create a page like this one. Now I have some things blocked off because those are living people and I didn't want to put information that's private in there on living people. But I like that. I like that they take the information and they create a family tree for you. They also automatically create some of these other pages, like the family group sheet page on the left, as well as a timeline. They'll take information and make it into a timeline. Now, I'm not a big fan of their timelines in that they don't always put the information in that I want, and I have to end up making a lot of changes to them. But I like the format of it, and I like how the information on the bottom, it kind of talks about some of the things that were happening in the world during that particular time, which can be very interesting. The paragraph that I've added on the left, that's something that I've added. It gives me kind of a place to summarize some information about the family. And then I've added the photograph on the right. But it gives you something to start with. Now they also will create census pages for you, but I kind of take them and morph them and make them into something that's easier for people to read. But this is an example of taking a couple of censuses and then talking a little bit about that family. And then the other thing is they have a lot of great artwork that is available that's part of the platform. That flag picture on the back of those draft cards, that's something that can come on the program. As well as this military timeline, that's again something that can be generated and these other pictures and things like that. So it's really interesting to show some of this stuff and have a bunch of artwork available to you. that you would have to worry about copyright and stuff like that, were that not the case. I also really like the different page setups that they have and the different things that you can use, like that history stamp up there, that's their work that I can use. There's just a lot of really cool backgrounds and a lot of really cool things that can make your books look a little bit more professional and a little bit more interesting. I put a picture of the actual will of somebody's ancestor. And on the other side, we did an additional family tree on a particular line that went back further. And I just kind of created it how I wanted to. You have the ability to remove what you want and put in what you want. It is time consuming. And this program is one that you kind of need to have some practice on it. It's kind of frustrating at first. I really like these pages. I think they turned out really good. We have this great picture of somebody in the South, and of course their kids have guns, which today would not be socially acceptable, but then it totally was. And so I just thought there were some really great photographs there. In this book in particular, this client really wanted to tell the story of their ancestors, so we used a lot of stories. And then we had this newspaper article that kind of talked a little bit about this ancestor and his career, which we put in. Anyway, I think it can just make it a lot of fun. Here's another way of using some great pictures. I like the binding edges that kind of show up. That whole page there is a backdrop that you can then build on top of. And I just think they're really pretty. I think they look classy. Anyway, I really like those. I want to interject just really quickly here. If you're liking this, please click like and stay tuned for just a quick announcement of some coaching that I've got going on. Do you need help with your genealogy research? Are you hitting brick walls? Are you totally frustrated? Or do you not know where to begin? I've opened up group and individual coaching sessions via video, and they start at $35. So if you're interested, click the link below down in the description of the video and you can sign up. The downsides of my Canvas. Downsides of my Canvas is you don't own it. So you're building it on their site and you can't download the PDF. You have to buy the book from them, and their books aren't cheap. And so while you have a lot of these really cool tools, it's kind of like Mixbook or some of those other platforms. They give you access to a lot of really cool tools, but you have to use their stuff, and then you have to buy the books from them. So if you're gonna make a bunch of copies for family members, it's gonna be expensive. And like I said before, you don't own it. My Canvas did something recently with changes in technology and things like that, and they had to totally redo their platform. And as a result, their books are not showing up anymore on your account, and you have to like go into an old thing, and some of them were even lost. Now, all my books remain the same, but I can't go in them anymore and I can't edit them. The only thing I can do with my old books is print them exactly as they were. That's kind of a bummer. If I had a book that maybe I wanted to make some changes to and then redo for a client, I can't do that anymore. I have to start from scratch. So that's a bummer with my Canvas. Now, if you want to build a book and you want to own it and you want to control it and maybe you want to produce it a little bit less expensively, you can take things to a private publisher, which is what I did with this book. This client wanted the book to be, I don't remember how many copies we did of the book, but I think there was at least 50 of them. And when you're working with a private publisher, as you increase your numbers, the cost of the book goes down. And he wanted to own it. He didn't want it to be on my Canvas. Now, I'm gonna own at the front, at the get-go. I am not really graphically arts good. I wish I were. I'm not talented at that. I'm sure that somebody else out there could do a better book than this. This book was done really kind of quickly. We didn't have a lot of time. I didn't have the time to try to do a lot of really snazzy things with this book. But let me show you some of the pages. We created some pages that, again, kind of provided his family tree. And then what he wanted was just kind of bullet points on each of the individuals, and then some additional information about them on subsequent pages. And then we spent a little bit more time going into some more details about their lives. We showed some more pictures, and then we did a more complicated family group sheet with some additional photographs. Let's say you don't have a photograph. It's a bummer. As we go back in time in 1817, you're likely not to have a photograph. So a lot of times in those instances, I use headstones, and some people may think that's kind of morbid, but to me it's better than nothing. And I still think that they can be interesting, so sometimes I'll do that. Here's a couple of other pages where we talked a little bit about some of the information. Maps are great. You can show routes that people traveled, newspaper articles, things that were going on in the area. Let's say you just don't have time. The thought of doing an entire book blows your mind and you're just like, no, get it. I totally get that. So for another client, he just wanted a booklet that he could distribute to his family. And I like this because it kind of gives you the opportunity to just bite off a chunk at a time. And then if you want, you could put it all together into a bigger book at a later date, and it would be pretty cool. Now, I did this on iStudio Publisher, which is something that comes on an Apple computer. And that one takes a little bit of time too to kind of figure out, but I like it. This is what we did just really quickly to focus on this one ancestor, Margaret Jane McIntyre. So we did a page that we showed her headstone. She was a Mormon pioneer, and so we talked a little bit about her experience on traveling west. And then we did a relationship page. And then we wanted to talk a lot about her life and her conversion to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and her trek west and things like that. These were things that were important to my client that be included. Now, we didn't have a lot of photographs. I could have inserted more photographs in here, but we wanted to keep it really short and he wanted all this information in here. So anyway, you may choose to do it differently, but the thing that I do like about it is that it's bite size, right? And one, it's not as intimidating to you, and two, it's not as intimidating to everybody else. All right, number 4. This is my friend Doris James' book. Doris James is brilliant. I love this woman with all of my heart. She has been a dear friend for many, many years, and she is a genealogist to the core. And she wanted to do something for her grandchildren. And so she did something really, really cool. Her grandkids call her Grammy Bird. And it talks a little bit in the beginning of the book as to why they call her Grammy Bird, which I think is really cute. But one of the things that she did was she asked her grandchildren to draw the pictures of different family stories. And she used that in her book. As you can note here, it says, the book was by Doris Soul James, but the drawings were by Grammy Bird's Illustrations Club, which means her grandchildren. So let me show you a couple of examples. Here, Noah did a great illustration of Daniel Davenport, who fought in the Civil War, and she told this great story about Daniel. Love this. And then she always kind of put a little quote at the bottom. Hearts turned, lessons learned. It takes courage to stand for freedom. I really like that. I think she's doing a great job of sharing with her grandkids some really cool things about her family. On this other page, I think this one is hilarious. Lawson did this drawing of their ancestor, George Soleil. I hope I'm saying that right, Doris. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, please forgive me. But anyway, look at him holding on to the sail because he went through a typhoon. Love that. And you know, here she said, hearts turned, lessons learned, gather your courage when times are rough. I thought this was such a brilliant idea to bring the kids, the family into the production of the book and make something really awesome for her family. Doris, thank you for allowing me to share your brilliant idea because I really think it's something that other people are going to do after seeing this. My last example is from Holly Beasley Heslop. And she is actually somebody that I ran into at one of my conferences that had watched my YouTube channel. And we were talking about books and she talked about a book that she did on Mixbook. Now, Mixbook is another platform. Probably more people are familiar with Mixbook. But I really like it because it, again, has a lot of that artwork for you. And if you're familiar with doing other types of scrapbooks on Mixbook, you might be able to do a family history book on Mixbook. Again, the fees are a little bit more expensive to buy the books, but I do think they're less expensive than my Canvas. So anyway, but it's something you could check out. So take a look at a couple of Holly's pictures. They look really great. She did beautiful pages where she talked about the different members of her family. And I just really love the artwork and how she organized it. I think it looks really, really nice. She doesn't have the same background on every page. She made the pages differently, kind of more of a scrapbook way. And I think that looks really cool. Here she's related through Ebenezer Beasley, who started a music shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. I just love this. I think this is really great. Thank you so much, Holly, for allowing me to share your example as well. So I hope these 5 examples have inspired you, have made you want to do something for your family and share your love of your ancestors with them, because that's what it's all about, right? That's what we're doing. We're trying to find more about the people that came before us. It helps us understand more about ourselves. It helps us feel connected to our past. And it will do the same for your family members when you produce something that they will actually look at and read. So good luck, and please subscribe to my channel. Check these out over here, and click like if this has been of help to you. I would really appreciate that as well. Thanks. Have a great day.